Good day, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the show. Are you a narcissist? Is he a narcissist? Do you know what a narcissist is? Are you afraid of being labeled a narcissist? Have you ever been labeled a narcissist? Is this word thrown around too easily nowadays? And, do we accept it as a new normal? Well, it isn't. I don't know if you guys what narcissism is, and I think I came across this term about close enough 10 years ago when somebody brought me like 100 pages of printout saying my boyfriend is a narcissist and I've been studying his behavior. Here's what my therapist told me, right? So nowadays, this is a discussion to be taken not lightly because it seems like everybody is a narcissist due to the instant gratification on things like Snapchats and Instagrams and everything else. But I'll read you a quick definition of what a narcissism is according to Wikipedia. Don't hold it against me because this is sort of a common source for all of us. Narcissism is a self-centered personality style characterized as having an excessive preoccupation with oneself and one's own needs, often at the expense of others. Narcissism exists on continuum that ranges from normal to abnormal personality expressions. While many psychologists believe that moderate degree of narcissism is normal and healthy in humans, there are also more extreme forms observable, particularly in people who are excessively self-absorbed or who have mental illness like narcissistic personality disorder or NPD, where narcissist tendency has become pathological, leading to functional impairment, not psychological disability. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Glenn, and of course, LoveHacker, Susan. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here again.
Are you guys narcissists? I mean, you're on TV right now, well, on YouTube and other sources. Like, are we all narcissists, like liking ourselves here and talk to the audience, and we're the only ones who really listen to the podcast afterwards? Like, is that a narcissistic behavior of sort?
Well, I could talk about how I was narcissistic in the past. I could tell many stories of what I've done. Am I a narcissist today? I don't know. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's a word that's thrown around way too much, and I hear it way too much in the women's groups, which half the time they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So let's weigh in on like what is the truth, because this show is all about truth, right? It's all about let's getting to the heart of the truth about this whole thing about narcissists, because wow, and I don't hear a lot of men sitting there having coffee and going on for hours about women narcissists and all this and on social media. And it's ridiculous now. I don't like labels that don't make sense. And I don't like labels that are spewed out from emotional bullshit. Like literally, like sort your emotions out. Stop calling people names until you sort your emotional stability out.
Should you get offended if somebody calls you a narcissist? Like, is that an offensive term in some way? Like, especially if you don't believe you are a narcissist?
I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys that because it seems like shooting to you guys. It's like because the men are being labeled as narcissists everywhere. And then what happens if God forbid, you guys go on a date and the woman is so used to calling everybody a narcissist because every time somebody does something to her that she doesn't like, you're a narcissist. And how would you feel if next time you have a narcissist on the label on your forehead? So all these women she's going to spew it out to, they're going to be like, Glenn, I think I've heard about you. I think I've heard about you. You're the narcissist. Can you imagine? How does it feel?
Of course you've heard about me. Does that sound narcissistic saying that or confident? What's the difference? Also, another thing is, when it comes to men, you will notice that obviously the three main personality characteristics of a men are beta males, alpha males, and a sigma male. Well, you're not going to get too many beta males being labeled as narcissistic. They're not that outgoing personality, obviously. I would surmise that you would probably get most alpha males, the aggressive ones in the pack, the leaders, shall we say, they would be the ones who would most of the time be termed with that name narcissist. They have a NPD. But also the spectrum of narcissism, NPD, is so vast that you could say that just about everybody at one time or another would have been somewhere along that spectrum. So it's like you have to create yourself as a moving target along that spectrum. You have to govern yourself. You have to realize when you're going a little bit too far.
So a little bit of narcissistic behavior is not really terrible. And I think all of us sort of fall into that spectrum, Glenn, as you're talking about. And like you said, the key is to catch yourself before you fall off the edge, right?
Yeah,
So,
like, look at a woman. Why does a woman wear high heels? Why does a woman wear makeup for? Well, it's to make herself, more
appealing.
more attractive. It doesn't mean she has a disorder. But then you have some, let's say, like that website called OF.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now that's girls who are doing anything that they can to try and make money off of weak men. Men are willing to pay to watch women, take off their clothes and do all kinds of horrible things to themselves. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, a woman who does that, I would say OF stands for only fools, because only a fool would do something like that. And of course, she's performing, hoping to get paid from her LF, her lonely fans. Because a man has to be pretty lonely to pay online just to watch some girl he thinks he has a connection with taking off her clothes or doing lewd sex acts, or that you're not well. So I would say that is a little bit extreme, obviously, of a narcissist.
Well, that's a good show to talk about, like, why do men actually go onto these sites? Please put a note of that, because that's a really good show. Because I swear to God, that I have so much to talk about.
Real men don't go on those sites.
Well, here's the
Not
thing,
real
right?
men.
But here's the thing, because this is tied to relationships as well, right? Because so many men go on these sites. Why are they sexually deprived if they're in a relationship? So that's in another show.
No, okay. But I think a lot of the narcissism that we experience now is sex related. The women do want attention. Women are not, would you say women not getting enough attention now? I mean, everywhere I go, women are promoted on, throughout all kinds of media. The sex, like Glenn was saying, like, the makeup and high heels at the workplace. But then if you turn on TV, I mean, women often are sexualized.
Yes. However, narcissism shows up in a very different way with women, I find, because I've seen both sides. And don't forget also, there are two types of narcissists primarily. I mean, there's gray zones on these two types, but narcissists show up either as an overt narcissist or a covert narcissist, right? So the overt ones are the obnoxious ones, the ones that are angry, the ones that will suppress the power of the other person, the woman or whatever, and through aggression. You have the covert narcissist. It's almost like they're on a covert mission. Like they hide behind these different facades to manipulate emotionally that other person. Sometimes a covert narcissist, a lot of times, play the victim when they need to pull in the heartstrings of their prey, right? So there are so many tactics, but the one thing that, well, I'll give the list of 3 things that narcissists do specifically that make them very narcissistic, if not narcissists. Number 1, they isolate you. So if you are my partner, I will start isolating you from your friends. I will start manipulating you that these friends are not good for you, and making sure that you're always alone. Because at that point, you're a victim. You will not have a mind of your own, and they will start controlling your mind. So that's one of the tactics, is isolation. The other one is gaslighting. So they will turn everything on you. So when you hear somebody saying you, every time you try to state how you feel about something, let's say, for example, I'm talking to you and you're my husband, and I'm the man and you're the woman. And I say, well, you're like, well, that's not how I feel. You make me feel like this. And you'd be like, well, you caused that. You, never taking accountability or responsibility for the part that they play. So that's another way of identifying that, yeah, you might be dealing with a narcissist.
So a narcissist is very manipulative for their own self-benefit or self-whatever, to get what they want all the time at the expense of the other person.
It's pure control.
But I would also argue that it's up to the other person not to allow themselves to be manipulated or controlled. I don't know if a narcissist would put a gun to a person's head and say, you have to believe what I'm saying, or you have to think what I'm saying, and and change that much. I don't know.
I think narcissists, in my opinion, in my experience, I think narcissists will not choose that person. Like the strong person, they will go for a person they can control and manipulate for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, totally. It's all about control. They get a boner on control, like literally. Like they don't have to eat. They just have to have control to be fed.
So like an energy vampire.
Yeah.
Or emotional vampire in that sense.
Everything. They want to control you, which is why isolation, gaslighting. And the third thing that they do that they're very good at is basically making sure that you do not ever have a voice. So how when I work with clients that have what I call a narc magnet, and usually these are women that have very severe traumas, early sexual childhood traumas, or anything that has to do with boundaries gone. The narcissist will always hit women who, not just women, but I mean, let's just talk about women for now, who don't have boundaries, that don't have a voice, right? So the only way I can poke a narc is by saying no. Because I want to see how you respond to the no, right? So that's the best way. It's like once you state your boundary, which is a no, that if he's a narcissist, he will start breaking down your no in many different ways.
Yeah, he'll try to break down the no.
Oh, yeah. But he'll usually
Relentless.
succeed if you don't have a voice anyway. So empowering yourself as a woman will repel narcissists. I don't come. I think they smell me from a mile away. Even when I show up in a space with my clients, all of a sudden their narcs just go away, and my clients wonder how the hell did that happen? This guy just disappeared. Because your energy will repel them like mosquito repellent. So all you have to do is have boundaries.
But isn't it true? We often talk about this in psychology and sociology. It's hurt people hurt. So if narcissist causing pain, because if they're controlling and manipulating another person, that's not a healthy relationship in any way, right? It's not a healthy situation in any way you look at it.
But they're not healthy people anymore.
They're not healthy people. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. So they are not healthy to begin with. So they are in a sort of survival mode, that they create this illusion. This is the only way they can go for life, by acting that way. And oftentimes they're not even aware that's what they're doing. So it's oftentimes a survival, like a subconscious survival. So something happens in the childhood where they have to choose to survive by manipulating. And I can actually relate in some way, because as a child, when I came to this country, I was a teenager, 16. I happened to live on my own shortly after by going to school. And I know that I had to highly adapt to my environment that was so uncommon and unfamiliar to me, where I know I wasn't always acting as myself because I just didn't know what to do. It was a survival mode kind of situation. So I've learned this type of behavior, and I'm aware that I was doing this for the survival, right? Because I had no mentor around me who could help me through the situation. So I actually had to not to be me to do so. Now I'm aware of this, and I was able to change this, many years ago. But I can see that how it could happen in the environment where we don't have this type of mentorship. And it goes back again, like, the point of the show, is he a narcissist? The reason why we're doing a he part, I think the man still has a lot to do with that, because if the man is really meant present in the family situation, then the strong man, then narcissist cannot prey on that strong man or the family of the strong man. That's my assessment. Glenn, am I wrong on that?
That's part of it. NPD for a man is they have it in 10 different categories that we could slowly go through today.
All right.
Number one is perfectionism. The man wants everyone around him to be perfect. Like if he goes to a restaurant and the waitress makes a little mistake, it's like the end of the world to this guy. So he'll be very condescending to this person. Condescension is also another trait of a personality disorder. Anything where the person tries to put somebody else down just to make themselves feel up higher, more in that position of control. What it is you can only really control yourself. So if you're trying to control another person, it's basically you're out of control. And that's just being exposed to a person in the know. And that's what we're trying to do with the show today, is to have more people in the know to realize when another person has the problem, not you. Now, what you have to do is respond, react to the action of this other person's problem. Right?
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about the perfectionism. As part of it, it is what I call a behavioral issue, because the only reason why you become a perfectionist is because you are struggling with the highest level of judgment. So there's no such thing as perfectionism versus with acceptance. If you are a perfectionist, there is very low level of acceptance. And right now today, we have to start living with accepting certain things. So perfectionists are highly judgmental people, which is a narcissist because they judge weakness in themselves first. They don't allow their weaknesses to come out. Therefore, they will abuse somebody who's weak.
I would say, okay, that perfectionism, that we're not perfect. That's humanity. Okay, only the creator was perfect. But I would say if you're going to do something, anything worthwhile is worth doing right. So, with that mindset, maybe. But when somebody else makes a little error around you, and, usually they're little errors, whatever, that's not the end of the world. So you don't have to act like a spoiled little child. In other words, it's never good enough for these people. Only them, what they do is good enough. But with anybody, it's never good enough. That's a problem. Another instilled, ingrained problem.
What's the second?
Not good enough. That's it.
What's the second category?
Control issues. Controlling the other person to make you look better, which we've been talking about, obviously. Okay? We gave an overview, and now we're delving right into it. Okay. Commitment issues.
So commitment meaning like people that cheat on their spouses and their partners?
No, more towards, well, yeah, it could be like that. Yeah, that would be a result of that. But it's more like always wanting to look single in the case that somebody else might come along who's better than the one you're with. So you're always, in a sense, you're always available.
Can I give an example of this very thing?
Please.
Because I just had a conversation about this with my client last week. And I'm going to call her Eileen. So Eileen, this is for you. Okay. She has been manipulated by a narcissist, a very good one, I have to say, for 2 years. In all 2 years, he's been feeding her with, oh, you're the one and you're everything and you're the love of my life. And he would call her and they would spend hours talking on the phone every day. And then when Friday comes, he ghosts her. And he's done that consecutively for at least, it's 2 years. And then he would ghost her for long periods of time when she would demand too much or ask for something in return, like stop lying. The moment she starts calling him out, he ghosts her, but then he'll come back. So, and then all she wants is for him to commit to his words, to show up and to take her out on a date when he promises. So she's only seen him maybe 3 times in the whole 2 years. They had sex only once and it was boring. Yes. Whoever you are, you'll know who you are. You're boring. But yet she's spending all those hours in the hope that he will show up on a Friday to take her out on a date. And so I've been trying to tell her this is not right. And she's like, well, teach me how to make him love me. I'm like, you cannot change a narc. They do not commit. And she's like, well, why doesn't he want love? Why doesn't he just follow up on his promises to me? Because he's not here to commit. He's a narcissist, which means he's looking for the next woman to control. When you start putting your boundaries up, when you start telling him that it's not okay, he will go find the next woman who will sit there and listen to all the lies again, because that's what he does. Narcissists do not commit to anyone.
But it's her, right? She's the one who enables his behavior. Like you said, she allows him to treat her that way. It's not like he has. We live in Canada. I mean, this is
true. Well, there's a trauma bond there. So when we're dealing with trauma bonds, yeah, it's not even logical. She knows in her head that that is not a dignified way of a valued woman to operate. She knows that up here, but her heart has been so controlled by this individual, day in and day out, hours and hours and hours. And it doesn't make sense to the regular person that doesn't struggle with trauma bonding and abandonment issues. But it's a very real thing. She is literally in love with a false reality. And that's a narcissist. They don't commit. They're going to lie to you and get you hooked on the dream. And then they will drop you.
So, okay, sorry.
That brings us into number, well, we jumped up. That brings us into love bombing. Okay. That's the pimp's way of manipulation.
Yes.
You give an emotionally needy person, you know, they give materialism to them. They look for their weakness. They fill that void, and they do it so well. They're so manipulative. And then once the person is hooked on that, they're needy for it. Then they start pulling away. Okay, that's
it's the push and pull.
Yeah, that's
or
the
run
pimp,
a chaser, right?
the pimp's way of doing it. That's what they do, and they'll do anything to have that thing filled back again. That emotional need, materialistic need, anything. So what they do is they look for the weaknesses first. They go in, they make those weaknesses go away. It's almost like a drug, and they addict the people to that manipulative imaginary drug. It's a mental drug.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they get you. The brain gets, you know, on a chemical level, you get so accustomed to that you need it, right? You need this kind of. And I think for the most people, because they are trauma bonded, what does that trauma arise from? Trauma arrives usually from childhood home scenario.
Yes.
And on some conscious level, people looking for this home-like comfort, you know, something that they didn't receive or they have an illusion of. And okay, in this case, like an example that you provided, is this person, this narcissist that you're referring to, is he doing it consciously? Or like I said, he's not even aware what he's doing. This is just the life that he's living, and that's his survival mode, because he needs to feel a certain way too, that he's in control. So he may not be even doing it consciously. Like, how can you tell apart if this person maliciously doing this evil thing and controlling and manipulating this person, or that's just the way he exists and he doesn't know any other way and he's not even aware what he's doing?
Doesn't matter. Number one, doesn't matter. I mean, once those behaviors are exhibited, it doesn't matter whether it's coming unconsciously or coming consciously. In the end of the day, I don't know about this individual. To answer your question, I don't know. And I don't care to know, but my client keeps forcing me to try to analyze him. And I keep telling her, we don't have enough time in a day to even analyze or care about why he does what he does. All we have to know is that that person is doing it to you. And after one lie, okay, sometimes stuff happens. But after lies and lies and lies for more than 3, to me, strike 3, you're gone. I mean, strike 2, you're pretty much gone in my mind. But strike 3, just bail, abort mission.
Or red flag number 3, right?
It's
That's
an
enough.
Abort mission. 3, it's
But
abort
why doesn't
mission.
Eileen just find what she's looking for? Why doesn't she feel good enough to get what she's really looking for in a person?
When we're dealing with trauma bonds, there's a deep healing required from the heart level. It's not a mindset thing. And this is why in the world of coaching, a lot of coaches become bullies, and we can't bully when the heart has never had healing before. So anybody who has had addiction or anybody who has had deep depression from abandonment issues or any kind of parent issues, there's a lot of healing involved. And this woman, I mean, if you only knew her story, I wish you could come on the show one day, but it's unbelievable what she's come through. So, so this is the final part, is she needs to do the healing on that heart to detach the bond to this person who abuses her very clearly. And she's been beaten in the past, in her past marriages. She's what I call the ultimate narc magnet, right? She'll attract anybody who's abusive. It's unbelievable. So when that happens, what happens is she's constantly seeking the false reality, that the feeling she gets from the lie that she's been fed. And if she's not this one, it's going to be another one. And then when she meets a nice man, which she has, somehow she doesn't get turned on by them.
And she only had sex once.
And it was not great. And
so what is she, what is she attracted to? Like, what is the, like, what, this is my question.
He has money.
Okay.
Right? And he fooled her into giving her the life of her. And mind you, she makes well over $500,000-$600,000 US a year. So this is not somebody who's poor and who is living on the street, right? And these men have taken her down financially. So thank God I'm not working with her on love. I'm working on her wealth building. Thank goodness. I won't waste people's money if they're dealing with that kind of trauma. Yeah.
Work in progress, Eileen. Keep going.
Keep going.
You deserve, you deserve what you believe you deserve. Okay? As above, so below. You're resonating on a wrong frequency. So you're going to have to start changing what you're looking for. Analyze what it is that you really want and go for that. Stop wasting your time just taking any next person in that's going to fill a little void in your life.
Here's the thing, right? This is for all women who are struggling with detaching themselves from narcissists. We can become the woman for that good man who has desires of what the good woman for him is. We should never, ever change for anybody who doesn't respect us or respect our dignity. That's all, right?
Isn't it the same advice for men, though?
Well, men struggle with a little bit different things, right? Because in the end of the day, men, the way that you seek out the woman is not as nitpicky detailed as the women are. Really, men are simple. Just like my husband says, food, sex, and communication. That's all what most men need.
Not particularly that order, though.
Hey, whatever. I'm thinking about food because I love food more than anything.
Attractive, feminine, and easy to get along with.
Yeah.
A man doesn't care how much money you make. Yeah. Really, a real man doesn't. Like a man's not there to sponge off the woman. He would prefer to be so-called sponged off, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Okay? That's his providing. He's providing for his wife.
It feels good to be a provider.
Of course. That shows leadership qualities.
Yeah. What else? It shows that you're self-sustainable. If you're able to sustain yourself and then share some with your family, with your loved ones, with your community, that's what makes the difference.
Hence, that's why I always say to the young men, chase excellence. Don't chase women. You're a young man, put yourself first. Not in a narcissistic way. Okay? That's loving yourself in a vain way. I mean loving yourself in a good way to put yourself in a position that you're going to be a better provider in the future, a better family man. You'll be a better leader. You'll become a leader in the community, and other younger men will want to be like you. You become a mentor for them also.
Well, at the church, I mean, literally, just not to digress, 30 seconds. Even at the church last week, that was the subject of the conversation with the congregation. We talked about how important it is to be self-sustainable. We're here to help each and all of you. But the goal is to teach you how to fish and not constantly to feed you, with the fish. Like, learn to be a contributing member of the society in general, but contribute to yourself first. Learn to contribute to yourself first. I mean, learn to be whole, learn to be disciplined. And then that's how the society, we talk about it all the time in the show. How do you change the world? By changing yourself, right? What's the next point, Glenn?
Well, we covered that. It's pathological lying. In other words, a man who lies. This is about himself. Okay, he lies about how great he is. He exaggerates or embellishes it to make the story seem as though this guy is just like a god. He's everything to women. Instagram
is a tool that allows that for both, for men and women. Like nowadays, you can sort of lie because the stuff that you put, the stuff that people put on the Instagram. Oh, this is the restaurants I go to. This is my social, surroundings. This is the places I travel to. Look, and if you go like on dating sites, I don't know why I know this information, but if you go on dating sites, especially women, women will list as one of the categories as well-traveled. It's one of the first things they say, like as if that's the description of her character. Oh, I've been around. Well, that's not necessarily a positive thing. That's how it goes. And another thing, like, if you're in the dating world and you talk to women and you're trying to maintain some sort of communication, and they often tell you like, oh, let's schedule something in because I'm so busy. On Tuesday, I'm going to the movies with this man. On Wednesday, I'm going bowling with this man. They're just friends from work. They're just co-workers. They're just childhood friends. And they end up all being mailmen. Like, that's a red flag right away, isn't it?
Check, please. G-Man's got to go.
My mother's calling me.
No, but seriously, Glenn, if the woman tells you right away, like especially in the first few meetings that you have, first few dates, that she has all those male companions,
yeah, you should be able to pick that off.
You should pick that off right away.
Yeah, as
right?
a man, I mean, the red flags, they're blowing all over the place.
The question is,
you ask the certain questions, and you just ask enough questions. And once people start talking, they'll tell you everything that you want to hear if you're able to discern from the truths and the not so truths.
But do you need, this is my question to a panel, do you really need to wait till the third flag? Like, that's the thing, especially like if it's a new relationship or you're trying to establish a relationship.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, whenever you're dating or going into a relationship, the only things you need to explore is whether your core values are aligned, right? The core values. There's only a handful of core values, not a whole 200 list of items of a character of what you want your ideal. Men don't usually have more than a certain number. I've in my experience, if I ask a man to give me their criteria of the ideal woman, it doesn't surpass a small little number. I've seen cases with women where they had a whole board, a whole wall of like it must have been the best one was 212 items on. And I was at a bar in a hotel. I was working at one of the conferences, and she's like, "Can I show you my list?" And I was like, I thought it was going to be this like A4. She had this one of those big things that you buy, and it was all these branches and little. I'm like, no wonder you're single. I'm like, we're gonna scratch that off and just give me 10.
So she goes on the dates and she brings that with her and she does the check marks. How does it work?
It's a female narcissist, right?
Well,
nobody's good enough.
Well, here's the thing, right? And this is the thing. I think Clueless does not equate narcissism. A lot of women are absolutely clueless. And we live in a world where social media dictates what you're going to do tomorrow. So these people are taking in all this advice, which is absolutely freaking bogus. And it's just a way of getting you down that matrix like rabbit hole, right? So that's the whole coaching world. The whole mindset world is a mess. It's filled with narcissists, right? I've seen coaches who are narcissists. I remember a marketing guy told me, I was looking to market my brand a few years ago, and he's like, well, I want you to start posting your life, where you live and where you're going on vacation. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
No,
I don't want to do that. Yeah, but coaches, if that's what people want is your life. I'm like, no. First of all, my husband's very, very private. My stepson doesn't want his life painted all over social media. He doesn't even do it himself. So why would I do that? And plus, no, it's gross. That's my opinion. If somebody else wants to do it, that's fine. But I do not want to do it for marketing reasons. I love my life, but it's private.
People who do that, they're needy for attention.
Or it's just for a brand. It's for sales.
Or just justify your own existence.
Because that's in today, right? Narcissism and greedy and self-loving, that's in a bad way, in a vain way, that seems to be the norm. So that's why I said at the beginning of the show, we were saying narcissism, narcissist. That seems to be very pervasive, especially in the Western culture here. Everybody seems to be a narcissist. It's in to be a
It's
narcissist.
promoted, right? It's like it's good to be one. Like
this is why we're all divided up.
How many likes do you get? How many followers do you get? How many subscribers do you get? Like on our show, it's a matter of survival. If I don't get 1,000 subscribers tomorrow, Glenn will break my leg. You know, like that's a different thing. But
I don't care. That's not the important
that's not the
thing.
important thing. I'm just kidding. But the point is like if you do turn in an Instagram or whatever else it is, it seems like that's okay. It's Halloween. Today is Halloween, brothers and sisters. What is the and that's a good example. And it's been Halloween for last week in terms of parties, and you see a lot of people going dressed up, especially in the weekends there. 99% of the maybe not 99, but 90% of the women dressed as tramps. It is a fact. This is the time where they can actually legally, I don't know, morally, ethically, or just they feel free to do what they want to do all year, and they get that one day to shine. You know, she puts some kitten ears
Rabbit
on.
ears.
Rabbit ears. I'm a rabbit. You dress
Mouse.
like I'm wearing lingerie and rabbit ears. I'm a rabbit. I'm wearing lingerie and some cat
High
ears.
heels.
I'm a cat. Yeah.
Fishnet stockings.
Fishnet stockings. Yeah. I'm a sexy cat. I'm a sexy rabbit. I'm a sexy angel or whatever it is.
Barbie.
It is a sexualization, right? It is all eyes on me. I'm the sexy, and it seems like they're competing with other women because men don't care. Men go dressed as Batman. Men go dressed as some other creative costumes, and women, for the most part, it's the easy knock off. Where are you going? I'm going as a sexy something, right?
It's for the men, though. It's for attention from men.
Of course.
Right.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. So it's a subconscious thing still. Like they're hunting to get the best man to follow them.
Or they just want attention. They want to be seen. Right.
Need justification by a man, approval
They
by
need-
the man to feel sexy about themselves.
They
Yeah.
need likes.
Yeah.
They crave likes. You know, one of the way to get off that mindset is to stop caring what other people think. And you do that by stop thinking that other people really do care, because they don't. Okay? They just look and then they look away and it's gone. So, I mean, you're craving stuff that's so irrelevant, has no weight to it.
Yeah.
It should tell you a little bit about yourself, how small you've declined when you're addicted to what somebody else might think about you, positive or negative. You see, somebody says a negative thing. It could be a truth, but you take it as a negative thing. And you get all triggered. You get blown out. Why? Why do you relinquish your power? You give so much power to the other person to make you feel a certain way, to validate why you feel that way. Why do you do that for?
Well, he asked the question before, how would you feel if somebody called me a narcissist? First of all, why would I care what you think if you don't think? Right? I mean, seriously now. And why would I care?
The gloves are coming off from Susan here.
But why would I care if you think I'm a narcissist? If you're a narcissist, you're trying to brainwash me. You're trying to control. Like, first of all, they don't say anything to me, so I'm just using it as an example. But come on, like literally, why would I care what you think if you don't even think and you don't know how to think? So really, let's be freaking logical here.
Number 7, grandiosity illusions. In other words, to make one look more by exaggeration of self-importance, abilities, power, wealth, identity. You're the greatest thing on the planet since sliced bread. You know, it even has made its way into the heavyweight boxing. Last weekend, you watched Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion of the world, fighting the guy who was a mixed martial arts ultimate fighting champion in the ring. And it was more of a show, a grandiose show.
Tyson Fury or Mike Tyson?
No, Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
And I was watching it and I was saying, what is this? This is like a Hollywood fight. It's not real. And they showed the guy, Tyson Fury, he's the heavyweight champion. You know, he's sitting there in the throne with his scepter, and he's got the big crown on his head. And the lights are going off like, this is the king. Lo, he's the king of the world, and this and that. No, you're an athlete. You're supposed to be an athlete. You're a boxing champion, so you're good at your game. What king are you talking about? What is this? You see how everything gets blown out of proportion to create the next high, to keep everything going? What's it going to be the next fight? And the next one after that? When is enough enough? Because it's never good enough.
Oh man, you brought up an amazing point. Okay, so with the platforms like YouTube's, Instagrams, and all this other stuff, we actually create an environment for everybody to fulfill their narcissist, right? But now, okay, I'm going to be controversial because this is a relationship show, and like we kind of sort of like talking about narcissism in general. But I'm going to tell you something like, let's compare Kardashian to Elon Musk or any other successful. Some people have some controversial theories about how Elon Musk actually came to be, or even Zuckerberg. Maybe they're Rothschild's cousins or whatever, nieces, nephews. But the man became rich by virtue of being a businessman, right? He earned his keep. He earned his money. Kim Kardashian put out a sex video. Right, I'm not saying she's wealthy or she has a business mind behind her, but there's a clear distinction between man and a woman in terms of functionality and existence in this world, and how they use the talents to achieve, and the gifts, the creator gifts, to achieve the success, the material success. Right, this is the biggest difference. Show me one woman that is, or J.K. Rowling's, okay, the writer. She might be an exception. For the most part, most of the women that I know now that are financially, materialistically successful, most of them achieved it somehow. Like Bezos' wife, she divorced him. That's how she became rich.
Oh no, there's Oprah Winfrey. There's Sarah Blakely.
Oprah Winfrey is a sex trafficker, I believe, based on all recent things. Like that's what she is, because she was the best friends with Harvey Weinstein,
Epstein Island,
and Weinstein and all that stuff, right? So she was. There's so much evidence of Oprah. I just saw that it was so crazy. Bringing young girls to Weinstein. There's pictures of that. There's videos of that. Where she's basically sex trafficking it. Now again, I'm not speculating if she actually has a sex trafficking.
Cover yourself. Cover yourself. No, but it is true. A lot of give you a known truth, an example in the porn industry. The female actresses, whatever, they get paid a lot, substantially more than the males.
That I didn't know. Mm.
Okay,
I'm in the wrong industry. I think I'm going to leave here and go and apply for a job.
You don't. You have OnlyFans. It's not that. You don't really have to become a full-blown porn actress. You just do OnlyFans.
On that note, number 8, attention seeking. Of course, we've been talking about that. Like it's never enough. I need more. I need more. This is what we said. The Western culture is full of narcissists. I don't know about Europe or Asia or Africa. I've never been there. But I could surmise that they're playing catch up rather quickly.
And it also is it attention seeking? Like, okay, so let's say I give you a scenario. You have a woman that married, and now she got familiar with Instagram, and she posted a couple of her vacation pics on Instagram, and she got lots of likes. And then so it fits her ego. And maybe she's not a full-blown narcissist yet, or maybe her narcissistic tendency is suppressed. And then she goes to a dinner party wearing a cocktail dress and high heels. She puts pictures on she gets more likes, and so on and so forth. So the platform itself is a temptation for the women to go into this sort of narcissistic hell, because those people are not happy. If you have to constantly put up this stuff on Instagram to justify your existence, I'm good enough because look at the food I'm eating, look at the people I'm hanging out with, look at the things I'm doing. That's definitely not a happy place. You can't tell me it's a happy place.
But here's the thing, though, right? I mean, when we're listing down all these items about what narcissistic tendencies are, it's not one isolated item that makes them a narcissist, right? So, I mean, just because somebody wants likes or is out there putting their life out for likes doesn't mean they're a narcissist. The only way you can really detect if somebody is a narcissist is how important they emphasize how they control others to feel superior. Like it's a really interrelational thing. Right? It's just them alone doesn't show whether they're really a narcissist or not. It's really how they control others to emotionally and mentally control what they want the other person to be positioned in. That's all it is. So if somebody's like on social media and they're trying to create this brand where like the Kardashians, I don't know if she's a narcissist, but yeah, she might make money through her narcissistic ways or whatever, like the grandiose superiority type of feeling like she's better than anybody else. I don't know. But I don't know, based on her relationship with Kanye West, she doesn't look like the narcissist, right? It looks like the other way around. So you see what I mean? So it's really hard to say whether somebody, especially on social media, whether they're narcissistic or not. It's how they treat other people. That is the clue. It's the clue. And the lies that they spew out to another person.
What about it? That's a good point. Do narcissists attract narcissists? In any way?
No.
They repel.
Nope. They can't control. They can't control the other. So if I repel narcissists, does that mean I'm one?
But it happens though. But it happens like the narcissist will find themselves. Maybe one narcissist, like you said, the covert narcissist, right? Maybe one is just what's the other one? Covert and
Overt.
Overt, right? So the overt narcissist did not recognize the covert narcissist, and they got together somehow.
No, because they're both trying to manipulate each other. It's not fun. They both could read each other. They're both trying to play the same game. It's not fun anymore, right? A covert narcissist cannot be controlled. The overt narcissist cannot be controlled. It's just their way of controlling another is a different style. That's all.
But it never happens, is a rule, right?
Oh, cannot.
Okay.
Because narcissists feed on people with no boundaries or weak boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And the covert narcissist, they are using the facade of being a victim. They are not the victim. It's almost like me saying, well, you just hurt me. Why would you do that to somebody like me, Glenn? Why? But I'm not. You see, I'm just playing on his heartstrings.
Should have seen what I did to the last guy.
All right, so I saw like a TikTok video of this a couple, and she's like, "Oh, congratulations, I'm pregnant. You're gonna be a daddy." And he's like, "Well, it's interesting because I had a vasectomy a month ago." "Oh, you didn't tell me. How dare you go get a vasectomy? I can't believe you lied to me about that." So she switches the direction right away, and she's like, "Oh, so obviously the story is incredible, and that's why we mention it here." But is that's sort of like a narcissistic way to that's a gaslighting, right? In the way like to flip the script in the way like that's your fault. I did this in the first place. Right. I cheated on you because you're a bad father, husband, etc. You're not giving me enough attention. You never liked any of my pictures on Instagram. I don't know, whatever the thing.
By the way, that's one of the reasons why I think it's the state of Alabama now is making it mandatory to have a DNA test of every child being born.
Wow.
Georgia, maybe.
Georgia, one of them.
Yeah.
But it's starting to manifest in more states too.
Mm.
Right? Just so that everybody is on the proper page, not on the same, but maybe on the proper page of what is right.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9 is dismissive. That's what we talked about, that condescending, trying to put somebody else down so you feel better about yourself. You feel empowered by disempowering somebody else. That is, that's a weakness on that person, and it's being exposed. The more you try to control another person, it's because you're out of control yourself. The only one you'll ever be able to control is yourself. You can try to control somebody else for a little while, and it may work. That's how manipulative and cunning you are, evilly cunning you are, until this person wakes up and says, no, I don't like myself like this. I'm being manipulated. And then they move towards the process of doing something about it. Yeah. You know what it's called? The simple word, change.
Yeah.
Well, there is one quality about narcissists that I've noticed very specifically, other than the control factor, is they are all cruel.
Abusive.
Cruel.
That's
yeah.
number 10.
They have
You're right.
They don't feel bad for the other. They are cruel. Yeah.
Physical, verbal, emotional, sexual, controlling financially, exploitational. It's all the above. We nailed it. That's what it is. Now, if you feel you're in a relationship with somebody like that, if they're hitting quite a lot of red flags on what we just talked about, you might want to do some self-awareness of what's really going on and how it's affecting your life.
And that's a good point you bring up right away. How do you address a relationship with a narcissist? You never address a narcissist.
Nope.
You always address yourself.
Abort mission.
You always, even if you have a family.
Oh, well, you know, family is a very different thing, right? But even then, you have to somehow detach. You cannot try to win their love, because that's what narcissists do to you. They set you on a failing proposition, a failing project, which is you're trying to seek their love over and over and over again, which they are not capable of giving, nor are they ever intending on giving.
Do they even know what love is? Have they ever experienced love? Is that part of the trauma? They never really experienced family love, parental life, and is that one of the things?
Whatever the love is to them, because they can play whatever role that is needed to show you what love is, but in their heart they are closed off to love for whatever reason. Whatever trauma has caused them to close up and detach from another human being.
Is a good way to describe a narcissist. For example, like you have a woman, she's with her husband at the time or boyfriend, etc., and they're like, oh, we're here, we're conservative, we're against the transgender, we don't want money to be sent to Ukraine, we don't, whatever the conservative point. And then she monkey branches into another relationship, and there she's like, oh, I'm liberal, and she changes the whole perspective to adapt to that person. Is that part of like the love bombing thing that we described earlier? Like to sort of like, oh, she's perfect, she's just everything I love, she's just like me, we have the same shared values and all that. And I think that's the danger, like what you brought up earlier, is like, how do you now, when you're in the marketplace for dating, when you go to date and you meet a narcissist, they will tell you all the things you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So yep. How do you, like, what are the red flags you look for, given the advice? Like, what's the first red flag you would look for what's the first sign of the narcissist?
The first thing you should do is always, for every date, whether you're in front of a narcissist or not, because you don't know until you test it, until you know narc poke. And the way you narc poke is say no, disagree to something. Or put up a boundary saying, no, this is not how I would like to do this. Or I don't agree with what you just said. But you say it in a way that's loving. It's not like, oh, I caught you, and no. Right? The moment you say no to something or it's not okay, they will put up their guard, and then their tactics will begin.
Yeah, it'll create a higher level of conflict potentially, and that would be a red flag.
Well, they'll turn it on you. They'll gaslight, or they'll somehow turn it on you to make you question yourself, because that's what they do. They make you question yourself. Self-doubt is the greatest demon if you want to go into a relationship with a narcissist. It's self-doubt is what they prey on.
Glenn, what's the last point? That was it?
No. You said fear, people who have self-doubt. From a man's point of view, I believe you're not supposed to have any weaknesses. You're supposed to work on yourself so that you're basically non-vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to spot this quite easily, because people can be very, very manipulative. They're very cunning. They're very good at doing these things. But as a true man, you work on yourself first. You recognize all those character traits. You might see some of them in yourself. So you consistently try to make yourself better as a man. If every man did that, then the whole world would be a much better place. And, we would have a lot more happier women out there.
That's true. Women will be happy if the man is stronger. 100% aware. And that's a fact. That's not even the wishful thinking. Is there item number 10 on the list?
No, we've done it all.
We've done it all.
Yep. We ended with cruel.
Oh, that's been a good show, brothers and sisters. Actually, I think we can talk about narcissism for a year non-stopping. Especially now, we live in Canada, and the person in charge of our country is a narcissist.
I was just going to say, but why does the Trudeau name keep popping up in my head? Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, but that's just opinion of the show. It's not opinion of everyone present. The idea is, brothers and sisters, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for LoveHacker, Susan here coming in and sharing her insights on the narcissism, and you can contact her. All the links are below. If you still wondering if you are dating or you're married to a narcissist, male or female, please reach out to Susan Ham. All the links are below.
And how to deal with it.
And
That's
how to
what Susan's
I
really
could
good at.
smell them from a mile away.
Yeah. So there's a growth opportunity here when you watch here the Love Squared at Alex S show, brought you by Glanzone. Any closing statements, because this has been an exhilarating an hour-long show. I think, yeah, go ahead.
I could say that, you know, there's this term for men who are born, you know, taller, good-looking. They're into wealth. They have a certain characteristics, very confident, and they're able to get very easily a lot of women. So there's a term for these type of guys. They call them chads. And for women, they are the gatekeepers to sex. Okay? They're the ones who control what's going on. But today, you have rising chad counts at the same time as you have falling marriage rates. Herein lies the problem, people.
So,
Yeah. The only thing I say is there are more men that are not narcissists than there are that are narcissists. That's very clear. But it doesn't mean that there are not a lot of clueless men. Clueless men does not equal narcissists. So please, when you're saying men are narcissists, please be careful what you say, because it's not true.
what about women? Okay, so controversial question. Is there about equal 50-50 situation between men and women in terms of narcissism?
No, I really do see a lot more narcissistic tendencies from women than I do with men.
Oh, you heard it here.
Exponentially more because of social media. This was one of the reasons to create the environment. Hence, this is why you have a society today where anxiety, attention deficit disorders, all this stuff has been manifesting ever since the implementation of the new technology called the internet.
Yeah, so basically, we're closing the show. All of us are mentally challenged here because we have no discipline controlling the blue screen in front of our face. So at least when you go to the gym, put your phone, leave it in the car, leave it at home. That will be your mental break. That will be your physical training and your mental training. Yeah, Glenn?
Do you ever see the G-Man with a phone at the gym?
Well, no, you don't even look
Does
at
the
mine.
G-Man have any social media like Instant Ham, you know, Facebook, all that crap? No.
Well, you do, but you don't control it.
Yeah, that's
No, it
you.
doesn't control him.
Yeah, no,
it
he's
doesn't control
editor
him.
in chief. I don't even know. I don't go on that stuff, so I have no idea.
Yeah. So, brothers and sisters, yeah, Glenn's, social media is listed below as well. So please join Glenn's social media.
His email.
Zero.
His email.
I've never even used an email.
Oh,
I had other people do it for me.
No, that's well, that's why you're Glenn.
Incognito.
Brothers and sisters, thank you for tuning into the show. Glenn, Susan, thank you once again for bringing your energy and sharing it with us and your wisdom. And we'll see you on the next one. Glenn, we make a community worse for everyone.